this next bit really is about the kind of moving forward now, in terms of our game plan. So I'd be keen to find out from, if you could just share with us, what kind of plan do we need to create in order to move this forward? How can we sort of, as I say, make some progress now?
Yeah, so I think our next phase really now is we've got to start building the platform, but we also need to build a community around this. We plan to have a tokenized system within the platform, which will allow rewards to be passed to people who are, for example, giving their time, as well as rewards to charities as well. And to build that community, we need to distribute some tokens, which we're going to do in the form of an airdrop to EOS token holders. So that's the next stage, really. And then after that, yes, go ahead, John.
No. So I've got a slide up a bit later on. Actually, we could perhaps. I don't want to sort of jump around too much, but while we're on that moment, we have got a slide a little bit later on, James, which talks about that airdrop. I think we'll come on to that in a moment, I think, if that's okay.
Okay.
So let's do that, and we're dancing in the moment here as to how we do it. So I think what will be so our sort of game plan. The next slide though actually asks a bit about our sort of predictions as to how this is going to work out, where it will lead to. So I don't know whether this sort of question resonates with any of you guys. Some of these we'll just ditch, But coming back to this game plan, how do you see that working out?
Okay, so I think I see it working out. We need to get people involved for a start. Not just people who are into EOS and into blockchain, but a wider community of people. I think if we can get people on board, this could be through our existing network, through the existing Givey platform, but also through the EOS community as well. And I believe, wouldn't know the numbers, but I believe there must be people within the EOS community who hold tokens already, who are passionate about things, potentially passionate about giving, and get them on board the platform and ultimately start to get some causes on board. So that's kind of the at the end of the game. But in between that, we've got development work basically, and I think our plan is to start that off, and we'll get the MVP live, and then hopefully build. Get some developers on board, community developers as well, because it's ultimately going to be a open source community project.
Excellent, yeah. So the next slide just basically brings our community up to date, I think, with, if you could pop the next slide on, So if we were to sort of summarize where we've got to, because I guess our listeners will be thinking, how can I get involved in this? Where they currently have got to. If we were to summarize our current position,
so we've assembled a small team now, of which us three are part of. We've got an initial tech partner that we're working with. We've launched a website, which currently is just is mostly information at the moment, which we will be building out. We're in the process of working on a smart contract, which will be for the airdrop, which we will discuss more later. So that's kind of where we are now, and what we need really is we need to get development started really. So
brilliant. So that's thanks, James. That's been really useful. So next slide looks at I'm keen to sort of and part of the purpose of this webinar is to one forgets quite quickly some of the things one goes through, and actually what we're trying to do is there's almost a sort of separate side plot perhaps of we're really trying to share or capture the learning that's going on. This is really a learning process for all of us, and so part of the purpose of this webinar is to make sure we've recorded for future reference, just what did we go through, so we don't forget, and hopefully we can be pioneers for other organizations which want to come onto the blockchain or want to experiment with what we're doing. So we're being very open, and I think what I want to acknowledge is the courage that you gentlemen have got in sharing exactly everything that's going on, and that sort of resonates well with this whole spirit of trust and transparency. So I know you'll be honest, and you can be as brutally honest as you like. What have been the challenges of the past weeks then that we would like to share with our community?
I think really just trying to, we were just, the first challenge was getting out of our heads onto paper, what we're trying to achieve, and basically try and build a framework of how we're going to get there to what we want to achieve. And I think I personally struggle with. I'm happy. Easy to talk about things, but when it comes to actually writing it down, that always becomes a struggle for me. So it's trying to squeeze it out of me. So that's been a struggle. Obviously, there's been loads going on technically as well with EOS as well. We've been seeing all sorts of things. RAM prices. Lots of things, the EOS constitution, all this stuff which is kind of happening in the background as well, and it's just trying to keep on top of that. And make sure we're aware of everything that's going on and anything that could impede our progress, really. So I think that's probably been the theme of the last 3 or 4 weeks, just trying to get everything down on paper. And I think doing this in a video format is probably quite good, and hopefully people find that beneficial rather than pages and pages of waffle from us that
Yeah, no, that's right. Yeah, hoping they'll sit back and just with a nice cup of coffee and listen in and get up to date with where we are.
I think,
Neil, anything you'd like to add to challenges?
I see, like, I sometimes, me and James are like Tom and Jerry, so describing, because it's kind of what James described is kind of literally those kind of challenges are there every day. And then the bigger picture one is obviously when we say, our community, the areas we need probably, a bit more brains and help and so forth is trying to actually identify again, what is the way that, the volunteering, the donor, the recipient, the fundraiser, those people, how do they want to get involved in this? How do they want to get, maybe how do they want to be recognized or rewarded for what they do? So we can't get away from that. This transition we're going to go through could be a 5-10 year transition until it becomes a behavior. But what we are today is how people behave, of saying, well, if I'm a fundraiser, there's got to be a pound sign and I've got to be measured against it and so forth. So one of the challenges in parallel is actually having people from these kind of areas to join us and help us with the product roadmap, because I think that really would be a very critical element. So yes, we know we have absolute confidence that technically we will resolve anything, basically, because James been in this industry long, I've been in the industry a long time, and we know how to execute. I think the challenge is the creative thinking, the kind of what's the KPIs and what should be measured, and then we got to build that into the tech, if that makes sense. So there's the kind of the back end, middle to back end, and then there's the front end, and the front end is quite important in this journey that we're going through, because it's going to be a very complementary, cohesive unit that people from those areas that it actually impacts or whatever, have a real say in the roadmap that we build. So yeah, we would welcome people from those kind of areas that are champions, if you like, or whatever, of these things, that can actually join us in helping us execute.
Yeah, well, just to add to that, I mean, I think, yeah, echoing that really is, yeah, I mean, this is going to be a community project. I mean, we're just giving it some legs, basically. Eventually this is going to be a community thing. So we want to build something that, is going to do what we want it to do, be a global thing, getting this into a behavioral change, really. So it really does have to be, taking in as much information and as much needs that people have, not just what we internally think it should do, and I think that's very important.